Hello and welcome back to the Villa Filler podcast. I'm here as always with my good friend Dan Wiseman. Again, Dan, there's no need for niceties tonight. We all know what's just happened. Arsenal 3, Aston Villa 1. I want to say a game of two halves, but that's been far too generous to Villa in both halves, realistically. Straight away, Dan, I feel like the tone was set by the referee, whose name has literally just escaped me. I've been chanting his name and a whole bunch of expletives for the past hour and a half. But his name has escaped me for this second. But Dan, right from the start, you could tell it wasn't going Villa's way today, was it? It was a really frustrating one, even from before a ball was even kicked. How many times, Dan, in recent podcasts have we said we're desperate to ditch 3-5-2, 5-3-2, go back to 4-2-3-1. And yet here we are displayed with another 45 minutes. Thankfully, it was only 45 minutes of a back 3-5 atrocity.
It's exactly what it is, mate. It's exactly what it is. And we knew it. I mean, if Wolves wasn't enough of a heads up that this doesn't work, like, it's like Dean, I like a lot of what he says in the media, but it was like before the game, he was like, we looked very comfortable for vast majority of that. And I was like, I don't think we did. We got ourselves 2 goals up, but never at any point was I, yeah, like Villa looks solid, very comfortable for this. It's like throughout the Wolves game, we were sloppy, we got the balls away. You know, Wolves had many chances to get themselves back in that game before they did. And I mean, obviously, when you have the eventual collapse, it's like, okay, surely that's enough to tell you that it hasn't been working. You know, I think we're in terms of XG created this season, we're either in the relegation zone or in 17th. I think it's quite concerning. It's only like Burnley, Watford, and Norwich have created a lower XG this season than Villa, which if that the data is all there to show you. And I was so adamant. I said it on the last part. I was like, well, the only positive is that's the last of the 5-3-2, or the 3-5-3, depending on whatever mess it was today. But no, we go with it again, and lo and behold, it's a disaster. I mean, Edmund Buendia is getting so much stick online, and I know he didn't play it, but I feel so sorry for that kid because he is the glue in that formation, isn't he? It's like if anything creative is going to happen, it has to come through him. Such a big onus on him, especially in a position which inherently isn't his. I mean, it's the most Aston Villa thing in the world to spend 35 million on your marquee, your all-time record signing, spend it on a winger and play him as a midfielder. I mean, that's honestly, it's the setup blew my mind, mate. I was so disappointed, and you knew it wasn't going to be a good evening from that point on.
It's frustrating because what kind of a message does it send that you can perform as poorly as Villa did against Wolves, and you are, I mean, I don't even want to say rewarded with a start, but all every single player found themselves back in that starting 11. And to reiterate the theme of the podcast, which, we may as well just rename the podcast at this point to 4-2-3-1. The change of formation and the change of system, ultimately, Villa looked so much more comfortable having wingers playing in their natural position and having a back four rather than a back three. Ezri and Tyrone knew exactly where they needed to be. And it just makes sense. I can't believe it's taken this long. And I want to say, Dan, that this is the last we'll see of 3-5-2. But I genuinely, I don't know. Like, you don't know, do you? Because I think it was the Manchester United results and the Everton results mask over the blatant flaws in this system. And not only is it a systemic problem, it's a personnel problem as well, because your wing backs aren't wing backs, they're full backs. You're playing a centre half who's barely even played any form of regular football over the past year or two in Axel. You're asking the players who, again, they're not familiar with the system to play this against elite opposition in Manchester United. In the rest of the fixtures have escaped me. Maybe elite is far too generous for the teams that we came up against in recent weeks, Dan. However, switching to the four, it made so much sense. It made so much sense. Villa looked better for it. We conceded another goal in the second half as well, which we need to talk about, Dan, because Jesus Christ. Like, I don't want to sit on this podcast and talk about Tyrone Mings. He's the last person I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about the defense. We shouldn't have to. We should be talking about the fact that Jacob Ramsey scored his first career goal, his first Premier League goal, in the outrageous manner he did. Finding the upper 90, a beautiful technique, assisted by Leon Bailey, the two subs combining there to produce a wonderful goal. But instead, we're talking about a shocking and somewhat controversial VAR penalty decision in which Alexander Lacazette he knew exactly what he was doing, planting his foot there. He knew exactly what he was doing. Matt Targett is a victim there. And Tyrone Mings as well. Again, Dan, I think we even said this in the last podcast. We hadn't really brought him up all that much. But the fact that I'm sort of loading up Twitter halfway through the game, seeing how people are viewing this, which was, my first mistake, and seeing people hound Tyrone for the deflected goal in. I don't even want to call it an own goal because the man's literally just running to position. Like, there's nothing he can do about it. If you think that that Tyrone Mings is at fault for that goal, then I'm sorry, you've just clearly never played football. You just don't understand. One thing I will say, could he have got across quicker? Yes. Why did he not get across quicker? Everyone looked shagged today, Dan.
Yeah, I would, mate. I don't. That you can't. For how the ball went into the back of the net, you're absolutely right. You can't blame Tyrone Mings for you can pinpoint moments earlier on than that for sure. Tyrone, I don't know what I mentioned this in the we're big fans. Let me preface this: big fans of Tyrone on the podcast. But like, man, like he plays really like he's just panicked constantly.
Yeah.
Like, it's like everything, the slice clearances, everything is haphazard. Everything is like, right, get rid instantly. And it's like, there's, I spoke about that calming influence that he can be, that he is. I know that he is. I don't know what's going on. It's like, he's this imperious, a real Rolls Royce of a centre half when he wants to be. But at the moment, like, it was the same against the Wolves game. I'm not just talking for the last 10 minutes when it was the same from everyone, but for the whole game, it's slow slapdash. It's so out like angst. It's like, I don't know how to describe it or what's going on. But you just sort of want to grab the man and be like, just calm down, chill out, mate.
Yeah.
Like, he can set precedent for that back line. He can really be. And it's like, I just worry for, like, you're exactly right. Axel hasn't played a lot of football, and he's looking to his captain, this man that's standing alongside him, and when he's sort of seeing that haphazard, it's like, whoa, it just seems to set panic in that whole back line. It's just like, just chill out, man. There's a lot going on right now that Dean needs to get a lid on. Dean's not doing himself any favors at the moment. It's starting to, if we're not careful, people are going to start bringing up stats like, this is Dean Smith's win record without Jack Grealish. This is Dean Smith's, per game XG without Jack Grealish. And all of a sudden, once that train gets going, it's not going to stop, mate. Like, every time now, Dean Smith doesn't win a game, it's, he can't do it without Jack Grealish. He can't do it without Jack Grealish. And I don't believe that, but it's like, he's not helping himself. And that's how I feel about a lot of this Villa squad, actually. It's just that Tyrone Mings falls into this bracket. It's like, what people are going to say, what people expect of you, what people are waiting to hound you for. And it's you play it to the stereotype. I mean, Matt Targett there, you're absolutely right, mate. I mean, Lacazette's just played him like a banjo, hasn't he, for the penalty? It's like it's one of those where he's played for the penalty. Tiggs is so unfortunate. You're absolutely right, mate. But it's like, Tiggs hasn't looked himself this season. It's like, because of the system that's playing. It's like, people I saw Matt Kendrick was like, I hope Emi Buendia is not just an expensive Carlos Hill. And it's like, mate, you can't even put those players in the same bracket. It's not his fault he's having to play in these positions. And so I think last week, honestly, I said this on the pod, mate. I said last week, the last 10 minutes comes down to the players. I genuinely believe that, because I thought Dean did all he could in that situation. We had 5 defenders on the pitch, and Marvin, we threw it away. This time, I think it falls at Dean's feet, mate, solely because the players look lost out there. I do inherently believe it's because of the formation.
It's just like we're in a position now where you physically you can't defend the actions of the sort of in-game management from Dean Smith at this point now, because he's finally caved in. We can say he's gone back. He's reverted back to 4-2-3-1, and we've all been vindicated. I mean, El Ghazi, I was saying in the last podcast, and I felt he had a lot to offer. It was disappointing not really to see him get involved at all really today. But when you've got Leon Bailey coming on the other side, it's only really going to be one-way traffic in terms of where the ball's getting ushered, which is a shame. But, the substitutes changed the game somewhat. I feel like I can't even say that, but it's one of them ones, Dan, because even with, you look at the penalty, not only is it unfortunate to give it away, but the fact that Emi saves the penalty. He saves the penalty and they score with the rebound. And Aubameyang does well to react to it, and it's a great finish from Aubameyang. But that just completely summed up Villa for the whole day. We looked, we didn't look assured at all. There seemed to be no, there's a lot of talk of pattern of play, and I felt like we were sort of really honing in on the sort of philosophy and identity of Aston Villa this time last year. There was a clear way of playing, even with that coming through, the likes of Jack Grealish. You knew how Villa were going to set up, and you knew how a game was going to unfold. And I mean, to be honest, Dan, we are sat here and we know exactly how games are going to fold, but unfortunately, it's just not in favour of Villa because of this system that we're playing. So hopefully next time around, mate, I don't know. He has to go 4-2-3-1 again, surely. He has to. I find myself, the fact I'm even doubting that, quite worrying. And I'm by no means a Smith out person. I never have been. I don't think I ever will be. But you really have to question his in-game management at times. And that's completely fine to do. That is completely fine to do. But no, it's a shame because, that there are so many promising things from this. If you take the penalty save initially in isolation, again, Jacob Ramsey's goal, he takes it so well, mate. He's absolutely wonderful. I really can't talk highly enough about this lad. He's phenomenal. And it's a shame that he didn't get the sort of the reception, the welcome, and the goal to sort of arrive in the circumstances you'd like your Premier League debut goal to come. Because he's never going to hit a ball sweeter than that in his whole career. It's wonderful.
It is, mate. It is, and it's unfortunate because it will be lost in, that goal won't really be replayed. It would just be lost in the archive, unfortunately, and that's just because of, unfortunately, the game that is coming. It's a great assist as well. That just the fact that it's come from Leon is that's the only reason that you've got to smile. Really, he's Villa's youngest scorer in the Premier League as well. There's so much nice things that come of that goal, but it's just unfortunate that the game that is coming, mate. You're absolutely right, and it means that mate. I got to be honest. When we went into the first game of the season with Ramsey in the first home game of the season with Ramsey in the 10, I was not. This is no slight on Jacob Ramsey, but I sort of felt like, look, we've spent 100 million here, and we're going into the first home game of the season with Jacob Ramsey in midfield. It's sort of like, not like as I said, this is no slight, but it's sort of like that's the position we were wanting to improve, and it's like, okay, we haven't, we're just still sticking with JJ, and it's like I had nothing against that, but it's like he wasn't going to give us the output that I believed other players would. But look, I mean, I genuinely believe, having seen what we have, that maybe we're a better team with him in the fold. I think it has to be considered because he came on, and it's sort of like, oh yeah, that this is what he can give us. And I felt really bad for him in the Wolves game because of, he's the one that gives the free kick away. And I feel if nothing else, I hope that, because that would have hurt the kid. because that's the first time in his career he's ever gone through anything like that. You know, that's a sleepless night right there. And I hope, if nothing else, that goal clears his head a little bit more, and he can feel better about himself, because that was a really, really, really nice goal. And I hope that we can take that into West Ham, mate, because we played a lot better. But this is what worries me, mate, is that West Ham are this rugged, quite destructive, very, very technically sound, very tactically sound. You know, they've got the flair players. They've got, you know, from the likes of Ben Rama, who's the polar opposite to the likes of Souček, the balance that they've got between those enforcers and the flair players is so spot on. And they just feel that everything that we're not really at the moment. And with that game coming on Halloween as well, mate, you know, it's an omen, isn't it, mate? That's your nightmare right there. That makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think the only silver lining about this West Ham game is they play Tottenham on Super Sunday. They then play West Ham midweek as well in the Carabao Cup. So you can only hope that they, you know, follow suit as their previous Carabao Cup outing against Man United, go full strength. Because let's be honest, that if they beat City, it's a big if, because it is Manchester City. They have a very good chance of going on to win that silverware. And I think for this West Ham side, what David Moyes is clearly trying to build, how well they're doing in the Europa League. They're 3 for 3 in the Europa League. A piece of silverware would certainly be something that the fans, the owners, and the players will be sort of setting their sights on. So we can only hope that we catch them on the beach at 4:30 on Halloween. But it's going to be a really tough game. They're an incredibly dynamic side, and even in games where you don't necessarily expect West Ham to I don't want to say turn up, because I think that'd be quite unfair on the team and just the unit as a whole. But at Goodison Park, I know Rafa Benitez is not the most attacking-minded manager. I really expected Everton to give it a bit of a go and certainly be a lot more solid than they were at home. And to lose that game to West Ham in the manner it did was pretty poor. So I can't help but feel like it's going to be an incredibly tough game, Dan. Oh, it's a bit difficult right now, guys. Doing this podcast is a bit difficult. I put a tweet out asking for questions, one of which we got a reply from you, Dan. Do we have to record? I wish we didn't, because our other replies from Tom at 2K Cowdog1. Shout out to you, Tom. You guys don't have to record. Maybe skip this weekend. Saves the hurt for everyone. Yeah, I feel that it's reflected in the views on the channel as well, man. No one's watching these podcasts. Like, a Bailey assist is pretty good, but in terms of optimizing our SEO, Dan, we really could have done with a Bailey goal.
Oh, mate.
Jamaicans, if you're watching this, thank you. You guys are carrying the channel.
Let us know, man. Yeah. But, mate, we got a bit of time. It's annoying. I never want Villa to play on a Friday ever again, because that's your weekend shagged, isn't it? Out the window, done. So there's no, like, that evening kickoff on a Sunday might not actually be too bad, mate, because at least I've got Friday and Saturday to have a good time, and then the Villa can throw it all out the window on the Sunday, and then by the Monday it's straight on anyway, isn't it? So yeah, maybe that's a blessing in disguise, mate.
Hopefully so, mate. Hopefully so. I think that's probably a good note to end this podcast on, guys. Sorry it wasn't too in depth or analytical. Sometimes it's best to just shoot from the hip, as we've done tonight. I don't need to. Right away, we don't really need to go into the specifics and how and why Villa lost that game. I think it's pretty obvious. We may revisit that at a later date. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this podcast, please hit a like, comment your thoughts below. Let us know who your man of the match was. If it's not Jacob Ramsey or Leon Bailey, then I don't know who it'd be really. It's probably Lacazette. Not for Villa. Anyone, just let us know how you're doing. Let us know what you're doing this weekend. And if you listen to this and you aren't subscribed, make sure you do, because we're trying so hard. We are trying so hard to reach our next subscriber goal, Dan. I mean, it feels like we've been stuck on 4,695 subscribers for the past, like, God knows how long. I think it's time to do some transfer videos, Dan. And maybe even bring back Morgan and Wise. I feel like it's time.
Yes.
Manager 22 is out.
Just dropped.
So if you guys want Football Manager streams to return. Let us know in the comments below as well. So yeah, as we said, like, comment, subscribe, and up the Villa.